The mega group. Alright, so we don't have any slides, but so the mega group monster table back here, I think Matt characterizes the extragalactic continuum, and more specific. So this is a combination of people thinking about a wide survey, deep survey, polarization, and transients. Right? I think the bottom line for the wide survey is that you really want as large an area as possible, really to maximize the number of sources, and also the people that we're converting to radio astronomers, at least on a part-time basis, right? Because this is a large community project, right? We had some discussion about L-band versus S-band. I think we would sort of need to, seriously sit down and write down the pros and cons of doing one versus the other. It's not obvious, which one you would choose. So a question is, does the ability to do the polarization the way you want to, and the need for resolution better than first tip towards S-band instead of L-band? That's something that we need to talk about some more. I think the default is that we would want a B array, but would consider a hybrid configuration, maybe remove some of the inner antennas closer. And so that's something that would be worth thinking about. As for where we would do it, I think the bias would be to observe the dark energy survey fields and the HSC fields. Given that data exists, that's going to be sort of the highest quality optical data now, and that LSST will cover those fields eventually. And so you get, your cake and eat it too. We talked a little bit about how you might do the cadence to handle transients. So for example, I was asking, maybe with the hexagonal pattern that first in NBSS used, maybe you can do every other field and then come back and fill them in. And considering that to have complete coverage at 4 gigahertz, you're going to have a lot of overlap at 2 gigahertz, and so there's maybe a natural way that you could do transients, at least on sort of a longer time scale for a wide survey. And then, finally, I think there's really the strong argument for pairing this wide field survey with a deep survey, particularly in the LSST, one or more of the LSST deep drilling fields. There's a lot of effort going into those, even though LSST is not happening quite yet. There's enough other multi-wavelength data in those fields that there's a strong argument for doing that, and then you can sort of have 2 tiers to the wedding cake. And I think it's reasonable to try to do both by scaling things down a little bit and keeping the amount of time to something that I might consider reasonable. The whole radio community might not, but right. So that's it.
Well, you've got the deep survey.
What's that?
Okay.
But and right. So if anybody else at the table has more to comment in detail,
just to say,
I can't speak for everybody, right?
Just to re-emphasize, I guess, that if you do the deep survey in L-band, then there's probably a lot of H1 sites. If you can do the H1 spectral line and the continuum at the same time, it'd be better to be done in the deep fields, because that's where all the best answering data is, and the spectroscopy, etc.
Do you consider C-band, or do you consider C-band, or do you think a primary beam is just too small to?
Yeah, I mean, like Rick's talk was showing, right? I mean, you quickly lose out fast. Yeah. I mean, science-wise, I think LSC. I can't speak for everybody, but I personally would be happy with any of the 3. Right? It just becomes other things that start.
Let's ignoring the deep field, which I think is a good idea too. What's the integrated survey area of the region?
We spec'd out a couple of possibilities. I think you wouldn't go lower than 5,000 square degrees. It'd be nice to go to 30 if you could, right? I mean, it's all a matter of trade-offs, right? The baseline plan that we had was for 10,000 square degrees and 35 microjanskis, but that's 7,500 hours, right? So if you wanted to try to do that and a deep survey in the same amount of time, right, then you'd have to scale back. So, but I mean, first plus MBSS is getting up towards 8,000 hours. In my mind, that's not impossible to consider if the community feels like it's important enough to spend time on it.
It was just about the band, but you've answered that question already.
Any other comments from the mega table?